Elon Musk was almost broke. Then he made one crazy decision. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that almost everything you built could disappear. Your companies are struggling, your money is running out, people are questioning your decisions, investors are losing confidence, and the future you've been fighting for suddenly looks like it's collapsing. Most people would stop. Most people would protect whatever money they had left. Most people would say, "I've gone far enough. It's time to save myself." But Elon Musk faced a moment when the safest decision may have been to walk away. Instead, he made a decision that could have destroyed everything he had left, and that decision changed the course of his life. This isn't a story about a billionaire. It's a story about risk, failure, obsession, and the moment when giving up feels more logical than continuing. Because before the rockets, before Tesla became one of the world's most recognizable electric car companies, before SpaceX became a serious force in space exploration, there was a period when Musk was burning through money and fighting to keep his dreams alive. And what happened next is the part most people don't understand. The dream was much bigger than the money. Elon Musk wasn't simply trying to build another company. He had ambitions that sounded almost ridiculous. He wanted to accelerate the transition to electric vehicles. He wanted to make spaceflight dramatically cheaper. And eventually, he wanted humanity to become a multi-planetary civilization. But enormous ambitions require enormous resources. And Musk had already experienced success before SpaceX and Tesla. He had made money from earlier technology ventures. Instead of simply protecting that wealth, he began putting enormous amounts of it into his new ambitions. This is where the story becomes uncomfortable. Because there's a huge difference between saying, "I want to change the world," and actually putting everything you have behind that goal. The early years of SpaceX were a literal sequence of explosions. The first Falcon 1 launch failed, the second failed to reach orbit, the third ended in another painful setback. Years of work and millions in personal investment evaporated in seconds, multiple times over. Most observers would have seen this as a definitive signal to stop. By late 2008, the math was simple. SpaceX had enough capital and parts remaining for exactly one more launch. This wasn't a calculated business gamble anymore. It was the final opportunity for a dream to survive before the lights went out for good. On September 28, 2008, the Falcon 1 rose again. This time, it held. It reached orbit, proving that the previous 3 attempts weren't just wasted money, they were the price of admission. Yet this victory happened against a backdrop of absolute chaos. The global economy was collapsing, Tesla was on the verge of bankruptcy, and Musk's personal finances were under such pressure that there was no room left for a single error. When failure seems imminent, the brain naturally shifts towards safety, asking how to avoid losing rather than how to win. It wants to protect the ego and the remaining cash. Musk bypassed that instinct. He didn't seek comfort. He calculated exactly how to push the remaining resources forward. The takeaway here isn't that blind risk leads to wealth. It's that survival requires ambition anchored by extreme discipline. Musk won because he treated every failure as a technical problem to be solved by engineers, not a personal defeat. Your own goals might not involve orbital mechanics, but whether you're learning to code, building a small business, or studying for a degree, the internal resistance is the same. Your dreams might feel ridiculous to those around you, especially when you're starting from zero. You may lack the capital or the connections right now, but you still possess the only metric that matters, the ability to execute the next move. You don't need the whole mat, you just need the next skill, the next chapter, or the next project. Think back to those first SpaceX launches. Building a rocket is a high-stakes engineering problem, but the architecture of a personal goal is identical. An error message in your code or a low grade on an exam is simply a diagnostic readout. It isn't a verdict on your potential. It's a map of exactly what needs to be adjusted in the next attempt. A passive mindset waits for instructions and stops at failure. An active mindset identifies a problem and figures it out. Instead of asking what will make you rich, ask what valuable problem you can solve. Stop waiting for opportunities. Build the skills that create them. The greatest barrier for most people isn't a lack of talent. It's the habit of waiting for permission. They wait for the perfect degree, the right amount of money, or a sign that they are finally ready to begin. But you can start the work today without anyone's authorization. You can build, study, and experiment in the quiet hours. You are allowed to fail, provided you are willing to try again. The goal isn't to mimic a billionaire's personality. It's to adopt the underlying principles, the discipline to learn, the courage to attempt difficult things, and the refusal to let a setback define the end of the journey. Your most significant transformation happens when no one is watching, while you're studying while others are scrolling, and building while others are complaining. Your identity is forged not when everything is working, but when everything goes wrong and you still move forward. SpaceX succeeded because they made it to that fourth attempt. They stayed in the game long enough to discover what was possible. Don't obsess over where you'll be in 5 years. Focus on being better today. Solve one problem, learn one skill, then wake up tomorrow and do it again. Your future is built through thousands of small decisions, the most important of which is simply refusing to stop.